Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, or welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Chantal Valde Malachi. I am a second-year mining engineering student at the University of Witwatersrand. And in today's video, we are going to be doing settlements for your geography paper 2. Yes, I am going to teach you in a way that I was teaching myself when I was in my grade 12 year. So I'm going to be using very fun ways that you can remember. I'm going to be making jokes, very dry jokes, but you'll laugh and you'll remember definitely. So please like, subscribe and comment. So let's uncover the word settlement, because we're going to be dealing with settlements, right? What is a settlement? So a settlement is a place where people live. What is a settlement? A settlement is a place where people live. Okay, I live in this building. This is a settlement. Yeah, some settlements are very small, like one tiny house with a garden. Okay, so where you live, that's a tiny settlement. I'm not saying that your house is small. No, even if you live in a mansion, that is a small settlement in settlement geography. But other settlements can be very big, like cities full of tall buildings, cars and people everywhere. So we have small settlements like a house, and then a big city. Some people live in temporary places like refugee camps. So a refugee camp is where people live for a short time, like when a country is at war, people would flee from their permanent settlement and move to a safer place and be living in refugee camps. That is going to be a temporary place where they're going to be living for a very short time. So a settlement can be temporary, or others can be permanent, like where you live and sleep every day. That is your permanent settlement. They are permanent and temporary. Temporary refugee camps, permanent is where you live. Okay, so where do people build settlements? Now let's pretend we want to build our very own village. Okay, so before we build this village, we need to choose where to put it. Okay, where to put it. So for the fact that we want to choose where we want to put this village, that becomes a site. Yes, because the place where we are going to put the village, it is an exact location. It's an exact spot of ground where our village is going to be. So a site is an exact location where a settlement is going to be built. Okay, yes, that is a site. So a site refers to the exact physical location of a settlement on the earth's surface. Okay, so okay, when we want to choose where to put the village, we would want to look at factors that would benefit the village. Okay, so factors that influence this exact spot where we want to put our village would be availability of drinkable water. So we need clean water to drink, wash and cook. If a place doesn't have clean water, I'm definitely not gonna put my village there. Yeah, we need clean water. Okay, and then other factors would be the availability of building materials, wood, clay, stones to make our village, to make our homes, to build our roads. Okay, yes, be good soil, because it's going to be no use to build a village in a spot where we don't have good soil or fertile soil, because what are we gonna eat? We need food. So we need a place where we could grow our own food. We would need grass for animals, so that our cows, goats and sheep can eat, and we then eat those cows, sheep and goats. You see, you get the point. Naiva man, naiva. We also need fuel, firewood or energy for cooking and keeping warm. So this spot should be in a place, when we say fuel, what I understand is that in this place we will need, okay, firewood, yes, of course, or energy. The word energy, that would mean electricity. So it should be a place where it is close to like transformers or ESCOM or a substation, so that you can provide energy to your village. You understand? Because you're gonna feel very cold. You're not gonna eat. Okay, you're gonna eat if you have firewood. You see? You need the roads. You would definitely need roads because people need to travel. You need good roads. Okay, I know in most places in the rural areas we don't have good roads, but they are roads. Okay, but we need people to travel easily, so they need to improve those roads. But for the fact that we have roads, let's just appreciate. We need flat land, because the moment you have steep, hilly, how am I gonna build my house? My house is Ojegamus. My house is going to be like this. Like, it's gonna be longer this side, longer. We need flat land so that my house is like this and not like this. I don't know if you can see and understand what I mean, but you need flat land, okay? And you need minerals for trade and economic activities. When you're in that exam, just make this scenario. You are in a place where it's just empty, okay? I want to build. It's steep. No, I need a flat land. Oh, what am I gonna build the house with? I need building material. Okay. If rain comes, heavy rain comes, am I gonna drown? Oh no, I'm not gonna drown because it's flat. Okay, and it's not prone to floods. Okay, I got it. I'm hungry. I need good soil to grow vegetables and fruits so that I can eat. I'm thirsty. I need a bowl of water. So we need drinkable water, clean drinkable water. I need to wash my clothes. Clean water. Okay, what else? Mkanginyama, shisa nyama. Where is my shisa nyama? There's no grass. I need grass to grow my shisa nyama. Okay. What else? I need to go visit my friend. I can't travel with my car, so I need roads. Okay. I need a job. Where's the mine? I need minerals. So yeah, I'm gonna be a mining engineer. So if the site has all of those things, you can live happily ever after. Just think of your home. Things that you do every day are the factors. It's not difficult, okay? Yes. All right, let's go to situationship. No, situation. So a situation is the location of a place relative to its surroundings and other places. So this village is here. So a situation would be its location relative to its surroundings and other places. So it describes how a settlement is connected and positioned in relation to physical and human features. Okay? You don't want to live alone in this deserted place, okay? You want to be connected, surrounded by other places, maybe towns, rivers, or mountains. That's what we call a situation. Okay? Yes. So a situation, we are here, we want to be surrounded by other places, other people, cities, rivers, mountains. So that is a situation. It's where our village is in relation to other places. Yes, that is a situation. Situation. So, if our village is close to a road, other villages and markets, it's easy to trade, visit friends. But if it's surrounded by mountains or rivers, it might be hard to travel. So the mountains, the rivers, the towns, the roads, is like part of the situationship, because that's what surrounds the village. Okay, the factors influencing situation. So transport infrastructure, okay, roads, railways, ports, and then markets. Okay, the access to buyers and sellers. Markets could be your Pick and Pay, your malls, where you can buy. We're gonna have physical barriers. So physical barriers are mountains, rivers, or deserts that affect accessibility. So physical barriers, they prevent you physically from accessing different things. So we have transport, markets, physical barriers. Those are the things that influence your situation. If our village is close to a road, which is a transport infrastructure, or other villages and markets, it is easier to trade, because buying a Pick and Pay, that's trading, and visit friends, that's the road. Okay, markets, transport infrastructure. But if you're surrounded by mountains and rivers, it might be hard to travel. We're going to look at the types of sites based on water. There are two. So we have a wet point site and a dry point site. A wet point site is found near a water source, important in dry areas where water is limited. For example, you live in a dry area where there is not much water, so you would want to build a house near a river. So that river is a wet point area, because there's not much water in the place that you live, but there is like a river at least. So where you would build near the river, that's called a wet point site. Like oasis in arid areas. You know that water bottle oasis? I think they got it from that word. And then we have a dry point site. A dry point site is located on higher ground to avoid flooding in areas with excess water. So you see, a wet point site, we don't have enough water. Dry point site, we have a lot of water and we trying to avoid this water, so we build in a dry point, which is at a high elevation, so higher ground. So you'd have a person who lives near a very big river that floods every summer. Okay, so you would want to build on a hill, and that hill is a dry point site, so that you won't get flooded when it rains in summer. We have other two sites called defensive site and accessible site. So defensive site is on high ground for protection and a clear view of approaching enemies. If you're fighting with your friend, you better build on high ground, because you're trying to protect yourself since you're fighting with your friend, and have a clear view if they're gonna approach your house. Okay, and then the other one is accessible site. So this one, it is easy to reach, often near transport routes like rivers, roads, or crossroads. You need a road, you need a river. Okay, you say these river things and stuff. I don't know how is it relevant to South Africa, because we don't travel by river. We travel by road. I don't know. Do you travel by river? Maybe. So we're gonna move to rural settlement. So a rural settlement is a settlement in the countryside where the main economic activity is primary production. Primary production. What is primary production? In primary, you do basic things, right? You're not advancing in anything. So we are fishing, we are farming, we are doing forestry, and we are mining. Let's classify this rural settlement into ways, which is by pattern and by shape. By pattern and by shape. Okay, let's start with pattern. So pattern is the arrangement of these buildings. We have nucleated or clustered patterns. Clustered buildings are together. Buildings are together, forming a cluster or a group. So imagine all the houses in one area, standing close like very good friends. Okay, they share water, roads, and sometimes even tractors. The advantages of being close together in Bumbene: it is easy to interact socially and share ideas. Okay, so people can talk and help each other easily. Unamakhelwane, Maki unjani, that's social interaction, right? Sharing ideas. Maki ngipende ngabani ngablu. Okay, ngiyabonga Maki, but blue angimthandi Maki urong. You know, so that is sharing ideas. Okay, it is greater for safety and security. So it is safer because everyone is nearby. So if you're doing farming, you can share costs of equipment and services. It is more profitable to build where people are concentrated. Imagine building a school in a place where there are 5 kids. I'll go in this sense. So schools and clinics are much closer. The disadvantages though, because we are clustered, we need to share land. So I can't have this big chunk of land. I'd have to get a smaller one. So small farming plots. I wanted to build myself a mansion next to my farm. Now I can't do that because my plot is so small. So that's the disadvantage of being, yes. So limited independent decision making, especially if you are farming. Okay, so too many people can cause disagreement. So let's say you want to, in your farm, you want to use this machine that is so loud but it's going to make you a lot of money. You can't make that decision. You can't make that independent decision. So limited independent decision making, you can't make that decision alone because you're gonna be making noise for Maki. Easy. So the other disadvantage would be shared machinery increases maintenance cost. So if we share, which is an advantage because we're sharing an equipment, so we're sharing the costs. So we'd buy one machine and we're gonna share the price and we're gonna use it together. But now that's the problem. When we use it together, it increases the maintenance costs because if I use it and you use it, we're using it more than if it were mine alone. So we need to maintain, which increases the maintenance cost for our machinery. So we have limited modern methods due to space. So they would have to continue with traditional farming methods and not put in modern methods due to space because of the bigger machinery. And we have smaller economic gain per individual. What does that mean? Okay, if I was living in a dispersed rural settlement, I'm the only one farming. Maybe let's say the surrounding area, which is like 100 kilometers away from me, there's a Pick n Pay. The Pick n Pay would buy from me. They would get fruits from me, vegetables from me, and stuff like that. But then if I have neighbors, I have competition. So my money goes down. Hence, they say smaller economic gain per individual. Because now I'd have to share my money with my competitor, because now Pick n Pay is getting fruits from me and vegetables from my competitor instead of getting fruits and vegetables from me, and I'm getting more money. But now that's cut to 50-50 almost. The last pattern is dispersed or isolated pattern. So buildings are far apart and spread out over a large area. So now imagine farms that are far apart. You'd have to walk or drive a long way to see your neighbor. Now your neighbor is not here. Your competitor is not here. Your competitor is very far. We have much bigger piece of land. So now you think that the disadvantages of a nucleated would be advantages of a dispersed, but let's see. As I've said, you have more independence and decision-making freedom. It was a disadvantage in the nucleated because you are surrounded by neighbors. So now the track machine. Large plots are also used for machinery, so it is easier to adopt modern farming techniques because you have a larger piece of area. Machinery is not shared, hence reducing maintenance issues. You can achieve higher economic returns from large farms. Yes, you have a larger farm, you can grow more vegetables and fruits, hence a larger economic return per individual. So you just have to learn one advantage and disadvantage. Okay, preferably you need to learn one advantage and disadvantage, and then when you do the dispersed or the other, you just swap, because these advantages are the exact opposite of the disadvantages of the nucleated. So in the nucleated, we had limited independence and decision-making freedom, but here we have more independence and decision-making freedom. So you just swap the two and take out the negatives. The disadvantages, guess what? You have less social contact and interaction. You have less security. In the first one, you were more secure, so it's opposite. You have less security. Isolated homes are vulnerable. We had an issue in South Africa where farmers were killed. You know why? Because they live in dispersed areas. There's less security. It's easy for a person to get in their farms and kill them. They would scream for help until a rock could hear them. There's no one that can help them, so there's less security. You have higher costs. You must buy your own equipment. Now you don't have a neighbor to share the equipment cost with. You see, I need my neighbor back, because this machinery is too expensive. 1.2 million. Where am I gonna get 1.2 million? I only have 600,000 rands. So bring my neighbor back. I need my neighbor. So we have few facilities. I'm not gonna build a clinics for 5 people. It's not profitable. Emergency help is not easily available. Yeah, because the hospitals and police stations are very far, because they're not going to build a police station for 5 people. Second classification of rural areas is by shape. The first one is linear. Okay, linear. What is linear? We are building the houses in a line. Where would we build these houses in a line? Think of something that is a line form. A river, a road, a valley. Have easier access to transport and water. That's why I would build it near a river or a road. Circular. Okay, houses are built around a central point, like a market, a church. Why would you want to build it in circular shape? You'd want easier access to communal facilities. So around a market, you want to access the market instead of building like a whole line going there. Those people at the end can't reach the markets. But if we build in a circle, almost everyone has equal distance to travel to the communal facility. We have T-shaped, we have cross-shaped, and then we have star-shaped. I don't know how I'm gonna do star. Just pretend this is a star-shaped. So we are building settlements at a road intersection. Here's one road, T-junction, and the shape is called a T-shape. We want easier transportation, have fragmented. So these are scattered hamlets or homestead with no clear pattern. It is caused by physical barriers or historical reasons. Okay, remember, factors that influence situation was a physical barrier. We said that we can't travel, but now we can't build a pattern. Maybe the river is not linear and it's meandering. You see, those type of things. So the shapes tell us how people use the land. So if it's T-shaped, they're using it for road. If it's circular, they're using it for a communal facility. So land use in rural areas. Land use means how people use the land. So the common uses, there are 6. Okay, we have agriculture or farming, crops, livestock, or mixed farming, so both. We use the land to farm and live, so settlement areas, so houses, schools, and community spaces, right? And then we have transport routes, right? Your roads, your paths, your railways connecting villages. And then we have recreation, horse riding, golf courses, picnic sites, swimming pools, places for fun. And then we have services like sewage works, airports, or storage facilities. Okay, let's make a story. So land uses in rural areas. Okay, I need to build. Okay, settlement areas. I need to eat, agriculture, farming. I need to travel to school, transport routes. I need to go have fun with my friends, recreation. Oh, where is my pee gonna go when I pee? We need sewage work, so services. And then I need to go and see zebras, conservation. Indigenous knowledge and settlement patterns. African traditional settlements are often communal, based on collective ownership. This encourages unity and cooperation among people. As a result, African rural settlements often have nucleated or clustered patterns. Nonge bakangosi ngavele egcwele bakangosi South Africa bakangosi bantinza wetabo yabo. Rural settlement issues. Why are people leaving the rural areas? We have rural urban migration. So rural urban migration is the movement of people from the rural to the urban. Rural urban migration. So let's find out, why do we want to move from Emakaya to a journey? So we have 2 factors. We have push factors and pull factors. Push factors are factors that push you from an area to another area. Pull factors, I'm pulling you. So these are factors that will attract you to a place. My push factors in rural areas is few services are available. You would have a mall in a rural area, but that mall won't have fun company. Just like a Bushbuckridge, you would have to travel from Bushbuckridge to Nelspruit, which is like 2 hours, 1 hour 30 minutes, just to go and have fun at the fun company. So fewer services are available. Lack of job opportunities, because in the rural area we only have one economic activity, which is primary activities. So we only have like one type of job opportunity out there. We have poor facilities such as education, healthcare, sanitation, and housing. Mechanization. So machines are taking over farm jobs. You see, abelungu manje are like, umuntu omnyama ungenzela kancane. I need faster things. Uzothenga umshini manje a replace wena athi I'm sorry my guy, ngicela ukuxosha. Yabona? So hambile wena, asenamsebenzi. And then you come to journey, tofuna umsebenzi journey. Yabona? Natural disasters like droughts and floods, rural areas are much prone to that. Pull factors, so factors that attract people to the urban areas, right? This would be like the opposite of the push factors. So you'd have to learn one. Few services available. We have access to more services in the urban areas. We have lack of jobs in the rural areas. In the urban areas, we have better job opportunities and higher wages. Hence, Johannesburg is this packed. Everyone comes to Joni for work. And then we have improved education and healthcare. We have proper sanitation, piped water, and better housing. And then we have entertainment. We have the fun company. The fun company so entertainment ikhona and recreation kumnanzi la Jozi. That's why abantwana bangafundi kumuke emakhaya kumnanzi la Jozi. And then we have better transport and communication systems. So now we can deal with a rural depopulation. Depopulation refers to the decrease in the number of people living in the rural area. What causes rural depopulation is rural urban migration, deaths in rural areas caused by the limited healthcare services, poor sanitation, not enough drinkable water. The consequences of a rural depopulation: we have a decline in wage earners, decreased buying power. So makuthi mine bengisebenzela mlungu, if I was working for umlungu and I'm like, this wage is too small, I heard ukuthi le Johannesburg basebenza kasasol ba thola boma 12,000 a month, mina ngithola 2,000. Hayi mina ngiyahamba mlungu ngiyakushiya. Shops close or reduce staff and stock. So shops will close because now we don't have enough people. We don't have enough people to come and shop. Now we're not making a profit. There would be a development of ghost towns. So ghost town is an active town, but now it's a ghost town. There's no one there. There are shops that are closed. There will be an increase in poverty due to the decrease in productivity and economic growth. Now, when people leave, more people want to leave because the place is becoming boring and hence becomes a ghost town. We have young and productive people living and going to Joni. They are going to Joni, and then abo kokona bomkhulu and the younger children are left behind. Strategies to address rural depopulation. So the first strategy is to provide basic needs by providing piped water, housing, electricity, sanitation, education, employment opportunities. You need to reverse the push factors. You need to look at the push factors and try to improve them. This improves the living standard. We are going to use tourism to reduce depopulation. So you're going to organize special events using local assets. You need to attract tourists and investors using tourism. Take advantage of the wow factor of that rural area and turn it into a tourism attraction. Advertise attractions through media. You need to improve infrastructures related to tourism. The roads. How are people or tourists and investors going to get to the place if there are no roads? And then you must have accommodation to accommodate these people when they come. You see? Laibon. Social justice issues. We have issues as the community, as the people living in the rural areas. First one is access to resources. So during apartheid, many Black South Africans were forced to live in homelands with limited resources. We're still affected by that access to resources. The second social injustice, poverty. Poverty is more than the lack of money. It is also a lack of the access to the resources. So now we are addressing these social justice needs. So we're looking at possible solutions to poverty and resource access. To achieve a sustainable development, you need both inputs and infrastructures. The input would be skills, right? And tools and technology, for an example. And then the infrastructure would be educational facilities. Facilities. But then it's no use to have the educational facilities if you don't have the skills. So you need the inputs, the skills, the tools and technology to teach your children in the infrastructure, which is educational facilities. And then another infrastructure would be piped water. You need the inputs, which is water and tools and technology to build those piped water, which is an infrastructure. In links, you need an input to get the output, which is the educational facilities, piped water, electricity supply. You need the input of skills. You need an electrician, you need tools and technology, you need water to get the piped water, you see. And then you need market access, you need labor, you need fertilizers. Those are inputs. The outputs would be transport systems, communication networks, sanitation facilities, healthcare services. But the inputs are skills, water, tools and technology, market access, labor, fertilizers. The output infrastructure is educational facilities, piped water, electricity supply, healthcare services, transport services, and communication networks, sanitation facilities. So empowering people with both resources and training helps them break the cycle of poverty. We are lastly going to look at land reform programs. Are programs that are used to address issues that happened during apartheid. So in apartheid, land was taken away from Black communities. So the government had to make things right through land reform programs. Okay, there are three. It's restitution, redistribution, land turner reform. Restitution is returning land or compensating people who lost the land. So you're giving back the land to families who lost it. So that is restitution. A redistribution is giving land to people who have none. So if you don't have a land, they would have to redistribute this land to people that don't have. So you're sharing land with people who have none. Land turner reform. You are helping people own the land they already live on. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and comment your feedback on how I got to teach you rural areas. Was it fun? Was it nice? Should I carry on? If I should carry on, you should recommend my channel to a person who's going to be in matric next year, so that they are taught in a very fun and a way that you can remember, right? We all want distinctions. So subscribe. Obviously going to university next year, I'm going to be giving you tips on how to handle university stress. Thank you. Bye.